The entire office went silent when the CEO slammed his hand on the conference table and told the single father to do as he was told or clear out his desk. Everyone expected the exhausted employee to lower his head, apologize, and keep his paycheck. Instead, he calmly gathered his files, picked up the framed picture of his little daughter, and walked out the door. What happened next would leave the company shaken and teach every person in the building a lesson they would never forget. For 7 years, Daniel had been the kind of employee every company dreamed of having. He arrived before sunrise and often stayed long after everyone else had gone home. He never complained when projects became impossible or when deadlines were moved forward without warning. He carried entire departments on his shoulders and quietly fixed problems that others created. But behind the image of a dependable employee was a man fighting a private battle every single day. 3 years earlier, his wife had passed away after a sudden illness, leaving him to raise their 5-year-old daughter, Lily, alone. Since then, every decision he made revolved around one thing, being the father his little girl deserved. Every morning was a race against time. He prepared breakfast, braided Lily's curly hair as best as he could, packed her lunch, and dropped her at school before rushing to work. At night, he read bedtime stories, checked homework, and sat beside her whenever she woke from nightmares missing her mother. He was exhausted, but he never allowed anyone to see it. The company had recently hired a new CEO named Victor Kane, a man famous for increasing profits and equally famous for treating employees like machines. To him, personal struggles were excuses and family obligations were weaknesses. He believed loyalty meant sacrificing everything for work. At first, Daniel tried to adapt to the new environment. He accepted longer hours and extra responsibilities. But then came the announcement that everyone in management would be required to work weekends for the next 3 months. There would be no exceptions. For most employees, it was frustrating. For Daniel, it was devastating. Saturdays were the only days he had entirely with Lily. They went to the park, baked cookies, watched old cartoons, and visited her mother's grave. Those moments were the glue holding their little family together. When Daniel respectfully explained his situation and asked for flexibility, the request was immediately rejected. Worse, he was publicly criticized for lacking commitment to the company. The humiliation spread through the office. Colleagues looked away, afraid to defend him. Then came the meeting that changed everything. The CEO announced another impossible deadline and demanded that everyone stay late every evening, including weekends. Daniel knew he couldn't continue sacrificing his daughter for a company that saw him as replaceable. He tried one last time to explain that he needed balance between work and family. The response was cold and brutal. The CEO snapped that if he didn't like the rules, he could quit. The room became silent. Everyone expected Daniel to surrender. Instead, something inside him finally broke. He thought about the promises he had made to his late wife. He remembered Lily waiting at home with her drawing of the two of them holding hands. He realized that no promotion, no paycheck, and no job title was worth losing the precious years he still had with his child. Without anger or tears, he stood up and walked back to his desk. People watched in disbelief as he packed his belongings into a cardboard box. He removed the picture of Lily from beside his computer and smiled at it for a moment. Then he placed it gently inside the box, took one last look around the office, and walked out. Some employees felt inspired. Others thought he had made the biggest mistake of his life. After all, he was a single father with bills to pay. But Daniel felt something he hadn't felt in years. Freedom. The first few weeks were difficult. Savings began to shrink, and job applications produced little response. Yet for the first time in years, he had dinner with his daughter every night. He walked her to school and listened to her stories without checking emails. They laughed more. They spent more time together. Lily's smile returned. One evening, while helping her build a toy castle, Daniel received an unexpected phone call. A former client had heard he left the company and wanted his help with a major project. The client explained that Daniel's integrity and work ethic were the reasons many customers trusted the company in the first place. That project led to another. And another. Within months, Daniel launched his own consulting business. He hired 2 former co-workers who had also become tired of the toxic environment. Then he hired more people, creating a workplace built on respect and flexibility. Parents could attend school events. Employees could take time for their families. Hard work was appreciated instead of exploited. The company grew rapidly. Meanwhile, the old corporation began facing serious problems. Projects failed because no one could replace Daniel's experience. Employees resigned one after another. Clients followed Daniel to his new company because they trusted him more than the executives. Profits dropped. The board of directors became alarmed. Eventually, the same CEO who had told Daniel to quit was called into a meeting and asked why the company's best talent and biggest clients had disappeared. Months later, Daniel received another unexpected message. The corporation wanted to partner with his company. The same people who once saw him as disposable now needed his help. As he looked around his office, he saw employees laughing together and parents leaving early to attend their children's school performances. He saw the kind of company he had always dreamed of working for. And then he looked at the picture on his desk. It showed him and Lily standing beside the ocean, both smiling. He realized something powerful. Walking away had not ruined his life. It had saved it. Sometimes the greatest opportunities appear only after we find the courage to leave places that no longer value us. Sometimes protecting your family and your peace requires making terrifying choices. And sometimes the door that closes in front of you is only forcing you to discover the one that was meant to open all along. Daniel never regretted packing his desk and walking away because, in choosing his daughter over a toxic workplace, he found something more valuable than success. He found purpose, freedom, and a life he could be proud of. If this story touched your heart, remember this: never let anyone make you believe that your family, your dignity, or your dreams are worth less than a paycheck. Stand up for what truly matters, and if you believe courage can change a life, like this story, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe for more unforgettable stories that remind us what really matters.